Hello guys, welcome to the next part in the Tycoon Fundamental series. Last episode we talked about the dropper. The only change I've made since then is I made the button a little bit more presentable. And now I've added the conveyor belt. It's just a bunch of parts just like the dropper in the last video. But to get started, I will show you now how to get the parts to move on it. So each part has a value that moves the parts, and it's called assembly linear velocity. It used to be called velocity, I believe, but now it's just linear velocity, and basically it moves the parts in the way by the vector. And I'll demonstrate that right now. As you can see, moves it all the way over there. Cool. And now that works just fine. And that's fine if it's just stationary. But let's say your game makes the conveyor belt move. So it's like this now. And then it moves over here, and then here, and then here. We want to change that via script. And an easy way to do that is to, of course, write a script. So we're going to get a script here. And we're going to say conveyor script. Now, it's very simple. So we're just going to reference the script.Parent because the script is in the conveyor base. And we're going to get its assembly linear velocity, not the angular. We want the linear. And then we're going to make that equal to script.Parent.CFrame.LookVector. Basically, this just gets the vector of where it's looking. So if the front here, make sure it's the front, by the way, because it will go, the look vector goes to the front where it's looking. So if the front's here, which it is, it will move in this direction. And you can also just do a while true here. So it'll constantly do it. Or actually, you could do it on value change, which I won't show how to do that, but it is something you can do and look up. Okay, so now that should work. As you can see, it's very slow, but it works. And to change the speed factor, you just do local speed equals 10, and then you multiply it by 10, or not by 10, speed. I guess you don't need the variable there, but semantics. Now, it just moves as it did before. Cool. Now, the functionality's done, so you can click off if you don't care about aesthetics. But I'm going to show you something really cool that I found that I feel like could add a lot to your game. So, let's get a texture here. Yep. And we're just going to call it conveyor. I guess conveyor belt texture. I guess we'll be fancy. And I hate the properties filter. I hate it. Anyway. Basically, it's on the top, so make sure it's on the top so you can actually see it. There'll be an orange rectangle as shown. And we're gonna get the texture. Now I have two here, and this one goes in the right direction, and this one doesn't. There's no way to rotate the texture while in like here in Roblox, so you will have to rotate the image on your own. So like this, you can't rotate it. You just can't. So I'm just going to do this. Now, of course, I don't want it to look like this. Okay, it looks weird. So we're going to fix that. So to do that, we're going to use the studs per tile UNV. And this is more like a see what it looks like. All right. And here, 8 looks very much better than it did. For me, I found my sweet spot is 8.5 for this, not 0.5, 8.5. But as you can see, if these are two different values, it will get more squished. So if you do like one here, it gets squished, and then if you do one here, it gets squished. So you got to be careful with that. But yeah, if you want to change how it looks, you just finagle with these two. Now, the part that we're interested with is the offset studs U and V, more the V part because it moves up and down the conveyor belt. And essentially, this just moves the image, essentially, because the image repeats. As you can see, if I cannot move my cursor wildly, as you can see, it's just this repeated over and over and over and over again. So if you move this value, it just moves it more and more and more. So just a reminder, keep this 0, because what we're about to write in script, it will break if you don't make it 0. Okay. Now, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the tween service. Now, you call it just like any other service. So game, GetService, tweenService. And essentially, it's like quick animation. So if you want to move like some UI objects like up and down, then you can use tween instead of like literally animating it. And you can do that for 3D objects as well. It's very versatile and very neat. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is get the tween info. And so we're going to do TweenInfo.new. And it's going to ask for the time. It's really good with giving you the parameters. So we're just going to say 1 second. You can change this to whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Then we're going to do Enum.EasingStyle. As you can see, it says easing style, but the type it wants is Enum.EasingStyle. So make sure to type Enum, because that matters a lot. Then if you do dot here, there's a bunch of different styles that you can look at, each one with their own description, their own thing that they do, essentially. Linear is what we want, because that's how a conveyor belt moves, just a constant speed. So we're going to do that. And then the easing direction. Once again, it's asking for an enum, so the easing direction, and then in. We're going to do in, but basically in is the normal way it moves. Like, it's what it's going to do. Out basically takes that and reverses it, and then in and out does halfway forward, halfway reverse, if that makes sense. So in the context of the conveyor belt, in would just move it forward a bunch. Out would move it backwards. In and out would move it forward and then backwards over the course of a second. So like for 0.5 seconds, it'd be in, 0.5 out. But for this, we want in. Now, the repeat counter. We want to do it infinitely, unless you want to stop it for, I don't know. I guess you want it to stop eventually. But here, it's we're just going to do -1, because that basically tells it to keep going forever. Don't stop. And then reverses, no. So that's all good. And now for the final home stretch, the tween itself. So tween equals tweenService, not info. Do not do info. tweenService dot new. Or tweenService create. Sorry. Completely forgot the syntax for a second. And now the instance. So the instance is basically the thing you want to change, the part you want to change. We want to change the texture. So we're going to do the script.Parent.ConveyorBeltTexture. That's fine. Then it's going to ask for the tween info. We just did that. Basically, we just reference this. Nice. Now, the property table. Property table is essentially just asking you what property do you want to change? Do you want to change the color, the offset studs, the studs per tile? Which one do you want to change? And what we want to change, of course, is OffsetStudsV. So we're going to give it a table, because it's asking for a table. And basically how you declare that is 2 curly brackets. Okay, easy enough. And now we're going to say OffsetStudsV. Okay, and make sure this is spelled correctly. Like I misspelled it, see? That would throw an error. Essentially, you need to say it correctly. Now, the number. What I do, which I'm pretty sure works for everything, you do negative, because negative is the direction we want. So negative 8.5. Essentially, you just do it, you replicate this number, right? Basically, or yeah, studs per tile V. Like if you were changing U, then it would also be 8.5. But like if this was like 7.5, then you would change the U to 7.5. You get what I'm saying? So negative 8.5 should mean that there's no cutting. It's a smooth animation. Okay. Now we've done that, we can do tween play. That's all of it. And now we can hit play and see the fruits of the labor. And as you can see, it's moving. Now you can change the timing, make it faster, slower, whatever you want. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Here, I'll actually show you what happens when it's a little off. So let's say 4. I don't know. And I'll show you. As you can see, it cuts. Essentially, it's going there and then going back to its original state. So 8.5 will now work. And which is why I asked you to keep it 0, because I'll show you again, if you do -2, it's not going to work because it thinks the original state, well, it is. The original state is -2, so it's going to go to 8.5 and then revert back to -2, which will not make it seamless. As you can see, it's cutting. So, yeah, there you go. Oh, that's not what I meant. Anyway, that is everything I wanted to talk about with conveyor belts. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the comments below. If there's anything I should do better, let me know. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next episode where we talk about the cell spot, which will go right here. All right. Well, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.